When you think of the human nose, you probably think of breathing and smelling, but this small organ is far more powerful and complex than it seems. Let's explore some amazing facts about your nose that you never knew you needed. But this small organ is far more powerful and complex than it seems. Let's start with something surprising. Your nose doesn't just breathe in air, it filters, warms, and moistens it before it ever reaches your lungs. Tiny hairs and mucus trap dust, bacteria, and allergens, making your nose the first line of defense for your entire respiratory system. Every few hours, your nasal cycle switches. One nostril becomes dominant while the other rests. This helps the nose stay efficient and protected. When you think of the human nose, you probably think of breathing and smelling. For example, did you know that your nose can even detect emotions through scent? When humans experience emotions like fear or stress, our bodies release certain chemicals in our sweat. These chemicals have a distinct odor that others can pick up on, often without consciously noticing it. These passages are made up of bone and cartilage, which can be affected by a number of factors, including genetics, age, and environment. One thing you can do is to use a humidifier. A humidifier adds moisture to the air, which can help to prevent your nose and sinuses from drying out. Your nose can detect certain life-threatening conditions such as a stroke. In fact, studies have found that people who regularly use their sense of smell are at a lower risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Hopefully, this video has shed some light on the many ways your nose enhances your life and keeps you healthy. Remember, your nose isn't just a simple organ. It's a sensory marvel that plays a crucial role in your overall well-being. So take a moment to appreciate the amazing capabilities of your nose and the impact it has on your everyday experiences. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share for more informative content. Thanks for watching and stay curious. How does your nose accomplish this? Well, it all has to do with the trigeminal nerve, which runs through the nose and is responsible for detecting changes in blood flow. When you have a stroke, blood flow to the brain is interrupted, which can trigger a change in blood flow through the trigeminal nerve. Your nose can pick up on this change and send signals to the brain, potentially giving you valuable seconds to seek medical attention. While more research is needed to fully understand this phenomenon, it's clear that our sense of smell is an essential part of our overall health. You can also try saline nasal spray or rinse to help keep your nasal passages clean and moist. The answer is yes, and you can do it easily with a saline solution. Simply rinse your nasal passages with a saline solution to remove any dirt or debris. You can do this by using a nasal rinse or by simply pouring the solution into your palm, closing one nostril, and sniffing it up. Once the solution has run down your throat, you can either swallow it or spit it out. Just be sure to choose a saline solution that's specifically designed for nasal irrigation. If you have a stuffy nose due to allergies, you can try over-the-counter antihistamines or decongestants to help relieve your symptoms. As you age, the cartilage in your nose can begin to sag, leading to a condition known as a saddle nose deformity. This can cause breathing difficulties and make it harder to smell. In some cases, it can also lead to sleep apnea, a condition in which a person's breathing is interrupted while they sleep. This ability is still not fully understood, but it may be an important part of social communication. Some studies have even suggested that people who regularly exercise together develop a unique scent signature. Babies, too, rely heavily on scent. We've already mentioned how scents are closely tied to our emotions and memories, but how exactly does this work? Well, it all comes down to the olfactory bulb, that part of your brain responsible for processing smells. The olfactory bulb is directly connected to the limbic system, which is the part of the brain responsible for handling emotions and memories. So when you smell something, the olfactory bulb sends signals to the limbic system, which then retrieves related memories and emotions. This explains why a particular smell can evoke such a strong emotional response in us. It could be the smell of freshly baked cookies that reminds you of your grandmother's loving embrace, or the scent of a bonfire that takes you back to a fun night with friends. These olfactory memories are not only powerful, but they're also incredibly accurate. Studies have shown that we can recall specific events in our lives with a high degree of accuracy simply by smelling the associated odors. Newborn babies can recognize their mother's smell within days of being born. This creates a powerful early bond between mother and child and helps the baby feel safe and secure. These hairs constantly move in a wave-like motion, helping to push mucus towards the back of your throat where it can be swallowed. Many people wonder, does my nose affect the way I sound? The answer is yes. Your sinuses are air-filled spaces in your skull that connect to your nose. They produce mucus, which helps to humidify and filter the air you breathe. The mucus also contains enzymes that help to kill bacteria and other potential threats. When you breathe in, air passes through your nasal passages and into your throat. If you have a stuffy nose, the nasal passages become blocked, forcing you to breathe through your mouth. This can lead to a number of issues, including dry mouth, bad breath, and difficulty swallowing. It can also affect the way you speak, leading to a hoarse or nasal voice. When you're congested, your nose acts as a resonating chamber, affecting the way your voice sounds. This is why people with stuffy noses often sound different. Without this resonance, your voice just wouldn't be the same. In fact, the shape of your nose affects the frequencies that resonate in your nasal passages, adding its own unique qualities to your voice. Mucus also contains enzymes that help to kill bacteria and other potential threats. Did you know that the inside of your nose is actually covered with tiny hairs called cilia? Well, let's dive deeper into how your sense of smell works. The process begins when odor molecules bind to the receptors in your nasal cavity. This triggers a signal to be sent to the olfactory bulb, a region in your brain responsible for processing smells. Interestingly, the olfactory bulb is directly connected to the limbic system, which is the emotional center of your brain. This is why scents are so closely tied to memory and emotion rather than, say, sound or sight. A smell can instantly transport you back to a vivid childhood memory or remind you of someone you love simply because it stimulates these regions in your brain. Inside the upper part of the nasal cavity is a tiny region packed with over 10 million smell receptors. Thanks to them, the human nose can detect over 1 trillion different odors, more than we once thought possible. To put this into perspective, a dog has around 300 million receptors and can detect odors that are 100 times weaker than what we can perceive. And it doesn't stop there. Here's a fun fact. You don't breathe equally through both nostrils. So what happens when you breathe in that enables your nose to do all this? Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's incredible, but what else can my nose do? Quite a lot, actually. And lastly, let's talk about the physical aspects of your nose. Now, your nose doesn't work alone. It's part of a larger system that includes your mouth and sinuses. The shape of your nose is determined by the shape of your nasal passages. You might be wondering if there is anything you can do to improve the health of your nose and sinuses. Now let's shift our focus to a fascinating aspect of our sense of smell, the olfactory memory. Next, let's talk about something you probably didn't realize your nose could do. It could potentially save your life. That's right. Finally, let's address a common concern. Many people wonder if they should wash their nose. There you have it, a deep dive into the fascinating world of your nose.